like I said, this can be highly edited. So,
Okay.
1 minute 30 is all that it takes to get out and blast, and lots of money you'll make. Just for 90 seconds, give your business a bump. 90 segundos, it's 80 more than you hum. Pay attention here to tip, shut up and blast. The mobile blaster will give you a clue. Start a Sandblast business, you know what to do.
so we're here with Matt from Gatorback Powder Coating. Matt, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Thanks for joining us, and about your company and how long you've been in the business.
Thank you for having me, Kevin. We've recently opened up Gatorback within the COVID time there, so probably been open going on a year now. I've probably been powder coating though for it's probably been closer to 10 years at this point. I started as a hobby. Couldn't find anyone local to powder coat, and at that time, and then just kind of got into it, and things evolved, and I went from just kind of doing stuff for friends and moving into just bringing in new clientele and meeting new people and stuff. So things have been pretty good. We do powder coating, vapor blasting, and sandblast.
First question for you is how you would rate your blast process as a powder coater. I know blast process is very important. How would you rate it on a level of importance? You can use a scale if you want, but for your overall success in the powder coating business.
For the blasting process, as far as how important it is to the powder coating process, it is by far one of the most important things we do. Without a good blast profile, without a clean surface, powder coating at that point, whatever you apply, whether it be powder, paint, or anything, it's just not going to have a good adhesion. And it's just not going to have a good finish. So I would say sandblasting is probably one of our most important things to do. So it's a very important process for us.
Yeah, the preparation's important, and it is a timely step in most cases.
It is a very timely step, sometimes depending on what you're doing and how intricate it can be, and what kind of coating you're going against. But it's needed. A lot of people have different methods of doing it, how they approach powder coating, but blasting is, kind of right there in the first and foremost things that when the item comes into the shop.
Cool. So can you tell us a little bit about what blast equipment you're using? I know you got some new tools in your toolbox, but with that blast equipment, everybody's looking to upgrade. What are maybe the one or two most common problems you have, or what limits how your equipment may limit your operation?
So when I started this, like everyone, I had a small little blast cabinet. Since then I've upgraded. So now I have 3 large blast cabinets, 2 of those being vapor blast cabinets, and then one of those being a large siphon feed cabinet. I also have a few pressure pots, and I recently, as you spoke with you, got 2 monster pots to kind of handle just some of that influx coming in with business now. Some of the issues I run into with blasting, a few of the issues I find, and I think a lot of people who are in this are going to know, is air. A good large amount of air, a consistent amount of air, and dry air. Those are going to be some of the biggest hurdles that I think anyone, whether they're powder coating or blasting, they're going to run into. And then, with the siphon cabinet, it just doesn't have the consistency of like a pressure-based cabinet. Whether, just the media flow, and then as far as like picking up and stuff like that, sometimes the pickup will get clogged and you got to get in there, drain the media. So it can be a little aggravating from time to time. So those are probably 1 to 2 things I run into as far as with the blast.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know we get a lot of people, especially in powder coating, because there's so many different levels of equipment you can have, that some will try abrasive X and say it's amazing, and the other guy will say it's just terrible with me, and it's usually has to do with equipment and air. There's certain air requirements you need for certain abrasives to be most effective, and definitely understand that. The third thing we want to talk about is 2 to 3 things for somebody getting into the industry, the powder coating. And this is kind of important to me because I really don't know much about powder coating outside of the surface preparation. What would you pass along to somebody with your experience, with the experience you have, somebody getting started in the industry?
To get started in the industry, I would recommend just spending your money wisely up front and going ahead and buying some quality equipment. If you're planning to do it for a business, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of people out there at the hobbyist level turning out work, and they're having a pretty good success rate. But life becomes easier when you buy the quality equipment to do the job, to get the quality finish. Patience. Starting in this business can be rough. You're going to have some tough days with it. Even when you think you got it, you just don't. And practice. It sounds like you're just, being told in school to, be a little repetitive about it. But if you have a new color, you want to try something different, it's much nicer to try that on your own product than to try to test that out on a customer product.
Yep. The process development, I imagine, is kind of fun on your end too.
It is.
Cool. And then the next two.
You have some good days, you have some bad days.
Oh yeah. I think that goes without saying in our industry. The next two, these the same exact question twice. I'll tell you what, this is my favorite to ask because I'm always interested to hear what people would spend money on. But start off with the powder coat side of things. If you were given $100,000 to invest in your business, anything but the blasting we'll talk about now, you had to spend on your business, no matter if it's equipment, labor, maybe facilities, anything. What would you spend that $100,000?
Probably, one would be a larger facility. I have a relatively larger shop. That wouldn't be considered a home garage by any means. Excuse me, but you can find that just working in there when you're powder coating, if you don't have good room to move around, mistakes happen. You bump into things, you're kind of squeezing through, and that can be difficult. So that would probably be one of the first things I would look into. Next would be better shop filtration. Even the spray booth has its own filtration, but powder particles are so fine, they find their way through their shop, and they end up everywhere. So I find myself after pretty much I pick a color, I shoot it, and I try not to shoot any other colors because of cross-contamination purposes.
Yeah.
Everyone has a different prerogative on that, but I don't want to send someone out with some cross-contamination, purposely send them out at least. And then probably some better PPE, just some protective equipment in the shop there. We're already kind of exposing ourselves to things that we shouldn't be as it is. Some good respiratory equipment and stuff like that would go a long way in the powder coating shop.
That's good to hear. You're the first person you're the sixth person I've talked to so far for this first season of this thing. And that's the first time I've heard it, which is bad, but I'm glad you brought it up.
Yeah.
PPE is definitely important, especially as a business owner.
Yeah, it is. And your health is important too. The whole point of starting a business is, to enjoy it and stuff like that, and enjoy the freedom. But you can't enjoy the freedom if you're, sick with lung cancer or something along those lines, and breathing in some of those things that you're exposed to in the powder coating and blasting process.
Agreed. So I'm going to throw you for a little bit of a loop here. Same question for your blast process, but let's just assume that you have all of the air in the world you need, which nobody ever has, but you have all the air you need. What are you investing $100,000 into your blast process?
Honestly, if I would, it would be into a much better blast room. I'm fortunate enough to have a blast room, but it's not set up at the level I would want it. It would be nice to pretty much come in and be able to take in just about anything I can, push it into my blast room, and just go to town. Mm-hmm. And it would be awesome if I had a way to reclaim that media also in the same process without somewhat barbaric ways to do it.
Yep. That gives you the flexibility to start using those recyclable medias. I think we've talked about a couple of them, the Spartan especially that's a return on investment there.
And I'm interested in that. I'm definitely interested from what you've told me about it thus far.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have you back. I have you and another powder coater. I'm really interested to see it for the powder coating side because for my testing, it's done really good after multiple passes, still getting those profiles consistently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, you hear people, tons of powder coaters using garnet, and I wasn't getting those consistent profiles after the first pass with garnet. So it was really surprising to see. And I look forward to hearing from, you know, third party guys testing it out.
Sure.
And then
garnet can be a little rough sometimes too, depending what you got on like aluminum and stuff like that. And you know, that's why I kind of was liking that 10X because it had like a little happy medium there. You know, it did well on steel, but it would also do well on aluminum. And which you can get a lighter mesh garnet, I'm sure, but you know, you can really tear into some cheap aluminum not realizing it. And do some major damage.
That's probably the biggest complaint, that I've gotten from powder coaters is they select the wrong abrasive. It shows up on those, especially the aluminum rims. I hear that all the time.
Well, I think, you know, everyone has that idea. It's like, let me get the coarsest stuff I can and get as much air pressure out there, and it's just gonna rip this stuff to shreds. And sometimes that happens, but in the process, you don't only rip the coating to shreds, you rip the substrate to shreds too, and you destroy it.
Yep.
And the last thing you want to do, I do a lot of. I do just about anything when it comes into the powder coating shop, but I find myself dealing with a lot of exotic and rare parts for automobiles, pieces you can't get again, and trying to restore them and bring them back to their, you know, former glory. So using the wrong media and making a mistake like that can be very costly.
Yeah. Another situation where you don't want to be doing your process development on a restoration project.
No, you don't want to trial and error on customers.
Definitely not.
Well, you know, there's plenty of scrap metal available just about anybody. You can find it just about anywhere you look, even in your own house. So whether you're blasting or powder coating, you have plenty of things to practice on and try on.
Yep. So lastly, and this is a cheesy question, but I really like to hear this answer. A business owner is what's really the most valuable lesson you've learned starting your own business and on the trial and error that we've talked about?
For me, it's just the most valuable error or most valuable lesson just overall.
Yeah, I would say lesson overall.
For me, it's just being humble and being honest, and working and picking the right customer. You know, it's hard to say sometimes. You know, you want to take a job in just to get it in the door, and this kind of goes back to that thing of patience. Not everything's a good candidate for powder coat.
Yeah.
And you're going to take it in the door to get the job, and what you're going to end up doing is you're going to upset somebody and make a bad rapport between you and the customer. So, you know, and then just, you know, knowing when to say, you know, maybe this is too much for me, you know, or thank you very much for the business. So those are some lessons I've learned. I've like I said, it's a constant learning curve. It's a constant process. You know, you learn as you go with this. And there's always something new that's coming in, whether it be a new customer, a new color that someone wants to try, a new glass media that's out there, a new piece of equipment. But those are probably the biggest things, just being humble and being honest.
Good. Well, awesome stuff. I appreciate it. And if people are looking to have something powder coated and they want to give you a call or reach out to you, where can they find you online? Do they just give you a call?
You can find me online at GatorbackPowderCoating.com. You can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Gatorback Powder Coating. And feel free to give me a call. My phone number is 919-923-5585. We're located in Pittsboro, North Carolina, just west of Pittsboro on the way to Siler City in the Silcope area. We're by appointment only. So if you have anything that you want to get powder coated or vapor blasted, just reach out to me and be more than happy to do it. Or sandblast too. Can't forget that.
1 minute 30 is all that it takes to get out and blast, and lots of money you'll make. Just per 90 seconds, give your business a bump. 90 segundos.